Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Brett Tippie Podcast. I'm Brett Tippie, and I'm here with my producer of the BTP, Mark. And he does the Low Pressure Podcast for skiers.
The podcast for skiers, yes.
The podcast for skiers. Yeah. And this is the Tippie Travel Tales.
This is round two, I think.
Round two.
We had fun doing the last one. I'm like, dude, every time you go on a trip, you always come back and we spend like an hour on the phone and you tell me these like wild tales of all your travels. I'm like, we got to make those into a podcast.
Yeah, they're always crazy. And this one was pretty crazy too. The last trip was to Ecuador. This one was after I signed with Pit Viper Eyewear. I actually got asked to go on a trip down to the Daytona 500 down in Daytona Beach, Florida. And I hit that because they're unveiling the new Pit Viper car, which was sponsored by...
They got a car, like, hey, so for what has always been kind of like a goofy kind of party glasses, novelty glasses, they've exploded in the last couple of years.
Oh, they're killing it,
and they have a sponsor to NASCAR.
They have got a NASCAR, yeah. And they're making goggles as well for motocross.
Oh, you're on goggles? They have goggles now?
Snowboarding and skiing. And
like for your snowboard stuff?
Yeah. They got some...
dirt bike?
Dirt bike as well, the Brap straps.
For real?
Yeah, they're really cool.
I've had a couple people on the Low Pressure Podcast this year that are sponsored by them. Like Ryan Zetzer is riding for Pit Viper now as well. Like Glenn Plake, I hear, is
Glenn Plake, the skier with the mohawk.
Yeah.
Extreme skier from... back in the day, the early Greg Stump movies. And,
making moves.
Yeah, they're killing it. They're giving her. So they invited me down to the Daytona 500 to unveil their new car. They brought some different athletes down and influencers and whatnot. And I had a crazy trip down there. And then I came back, slept for 4 hours, then went to Kiefer Lake catboarding, rode 3 days there, 40 centimeters, minus 22, and then came back, slept for another 4 hours, and then drove my girl to the BC Provincial High School Ski Championships in Kicking Horse. So I've been all over the place in the last few weeks. Nice to be home. We just did a podcast with Ride Rap with Dan, one of the co-founders.
Yep, and earlier today. That'll be out next week, I think.
Yeah, that'll be out.
If you're listening to this if you're listening to us say these words, the next one will be with Dan from Ride Rap.
We're doing some time travel here.
Yeah.
And so now I'm back, and now we're ready for a Tippie travel tale. So this was a crazy trip.
So was the journey in either direction as wild as the Ecuador journey?
There's nothing like that. Like every connection went, and my boarding tickets worked every time, and I got a window seat when I wanted one, and an aisle seat when I wanted one. Everything worked out perfect.
Are you a window seat or an aisle seat guy?
I'm a window seat guy because usually I don't sleep very much, and when I get on the plane, I'm like right against the window, and then you got a wall to sleep against, so you're not drooling on someone's shoulder.
I wonder if it's because you like of all the people that I know, you have like a million things to do, and I always imagine it as like lined up on like dominoes. And do they just knock over? And as you finish one, you just get to the next one and get to the next one?
Yeah, just keep on going.
I wonder if it's because... And you don't sleep a lot. Like, I'll get emails from you like 4 a.m, and it'll be like, oh, I sent you the intros for this new episode. And then I'll see it like 9 a.m. It'll be an Instagram post. And it'll be like 11 p.m. I'll be like, does this guy sleep at all?
Yeah, I know. Not very much.
I wonder if the plane is kind of like... Because you can't go on the internet. You can't post anything. You can't really do anything. And you're like...
It's nap time.
Yeah.
It's when I catch up.
The longer the flight, the better, right?
Totally true. So I packed last minute, got on the plane, and I landed in Florida, and I am met by Scummy Diener, who's a Pit Viper athlete. He's a snowboarder, skateboarder, wild man.
Scummy Diener?
Yeah, check him out on Instagram. He's an awesome dude. And he had just, where did he just come from? He came from a video filming with Steve-O from Jackass.
Yeah.
I think he had his hair lit on fire. And then he was on his way to Costa Rica after the Daytona 500 to go get bitten by fire ants for the Discovery Channel. And
what?
He's a wild man. Super funny. So he picked me up in the fully wrapped Pit Viper Limo. All done up with Pit Viper graphics.
It's like one of those old school, like boxy square limos, like retro limos.
Yeah, it was like an old school one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just super bright and fully logoed up. It was pretty awesome. And we drove
just like at the airport, like rolls up, super like bright, like everyone's like, what is that thing all about?
Right. And so I walk out, and then he's like, hey bro, and he's got the long hair, and he's like a total dude. And so I hop in with him.
Front seat,
yeah, we're cruising, and First gas station we hit, a very attractive blonde lady comes up and says, "Can I get a picture with you in the Pit Viper limo?" And I'm like, "Sure." And so I scoop her up in my arms and I got a picture in front of the Pit Viper car with this. Post my Instagram. My wife's like, "He's not even in Florida 15 minutes. He's got a hot blonde in his arms." Oh my God. So I'll put this chick anyways. So we get to the Daytona 500. We check out the racetrack. There's RVs parked in the middle everywhere. It's absolutely packed. People are doing some practice laps. And it's a scene. It's a party scene. People are partying hard already. Tailgate parties, are happening in the giant RVs. People like.
And is this like down in the middle of the oval?
In the middle of the racetrack.
What is that called? That zone? I was trying to think of
inside the track. I don't know.
Someone will tell us. Comments.
Yeah, totally. But right away, as soon as I got there, we checked it out, and they said it's time for the Pit Viper Daytona 500 Go Kart Invitational. And I was like, okay, cool. And so right on the edge of the racetrack, just on the outside, they have a go-kart track, 2 different floors, and very fast electric go-karts. And we got in there, and I brought my own helmet because I heard word that there was going to be a go-kart race.
And you knew that they may not have any that'll fit your head.
And I have a huge head, and so I brought my own helmet.
Wasn't it Jason in the last episode talking about how you had to have special helmets for your football team?
Yes. Yeah. Massive triple extra large helmet. And so I brought a Liat motocross helmet down and had the new Brap Strap goggles, so I'm all ready to go. And while people were getting their rental helmets or loaner helmets and signing their waivers, I was asking the local kids, and I slipped them a set of Pit Vipers, like, "Hey, what's the local track secret?" And they're like, "Okay, you get 1 boost button per lap. Use it on the back straightaway. If there's traffic and can't use it, save it for the hill climb." I'm like, "Perfect." And they go, "But you should really ask that guy. That guy's got the track record." And I look over, and there's a dude over there with the car. So I cruise over. I give him a pair of Pit Vipers. I go, "Dude, what's the track secret?" And I go, "I heard about the boost button, the backstretch." He goes, yeah. Or the hill climb if you can't use it for too much traffic. Also, on the downhill, stay to the outside, stay wide, be patient. Cut in tight, and then get your exit speed on the next left, and you have all that speed through all the corners on the flats. And I'm like, perfect, thanks. So we get in the cars. I accidentally picked a fast one, I guess. And we hit the race, and it was on. And
how many people are racing?
I think must have been about a dozen.
And like who's racing? Just like Pit Viper people? Or
there was Pit Viper staff, and then some random family members. There was some crew from the Floyd Mayweather money team, because Floyd Mayweather's money team.
The boxer?
The boxer. 15-0. Made $1.1 billion in his career. And he sponsors half the car with Pit Viper.
Oh, so it's a half and half, like Money Mayweather Pit Viper car?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Totally. And
was
so
he there?
He wasn't there, but all his crew was there.
Yeah.
And some of them were racing, and some family members, and then a bunch of random athletes from Pit Viper.
Yeah.
And the one to beat was Jim York, who, on his business card for Pit Viper, it says engine scum. Is on his on his business card. And he is a driver. He drives a cigar boat, and Travis Pastrana is the engine guy. So Travis is doing the engine. Jim York is doing the driving. Plus he jumps cars, and he's raced stock cars, and he's like a bit of a madman. He was supposed to win. Well, he got second in the first 2 races. Guess who won the first 2 races?
Yeah.
And the 3rd race. I won all 3 races.
All 3 races because you think it was the tips?
Well, the tips I applied, and I
just the tip.
Yep, just the tip. Just the tips. 2 couple tips. And I also got a little bit of practice before I left. I went to the Richmond Go Karts in Vancouver. I went and got 24 laps with my buddy Andrew Baker. No one there except for me and him, so we had open track basically, and got a little bit of practice.
I'm surprised because aren't like go-karts usually like really sensitive to weight? Like you're not like a light dude. Like you're what, 220, 230?
220.
You're 220, right? Versus a guy that's maybe my size, it's like 180.
Yeah.
Would you not think that?
Oh, it's like a jockey on a horse, like a lighter
like
rider.
It would handle faster and better with a lighter person.
Right. I know. I could have gone faster if I would have lost a few pounds. Should have got circumcised. Anyway, so
hey, you still can, pal.
So I won all 3 races. I beat Jim York, who was fast racer by I think 4/10 or 3/10. And then in the last race, him and his buddies were like, what racing car experience have you got? And I go, I'm a mountain biker. I drive to the ski hill really fast.
Because they're racers, right? And you're smoking racers.
Oh my God. Well, I beat in the last race by only 3 100ths.
Oh, yeah.
And so just...
Was it a time thing, or you were like...
Fastest lap.
Okay.
Fastest lap.
Yeah.
And so, and then it turned out that I won the course record for the week during the International Speed Week. With all like the Daytona 500, random paraphernalia people coming in.
So you went to the Daytona 500, and everybody that is there are like racing heads. They're like racers. They're like auto racing. That's their culture and their life. And they probably like, he just went, of course he did.
So I smoked everybody for the week. I don't know what random, NASCAR racers showed up, but there was a bunch of people lined up before us and after us, and I could see all the sheets. People were all going for it, but I got the course record for the week, and I was taking risks. I was absolutely hammering like inside, outside, and I was just clipping the wall on the outside a few times, and I thought I was going to blow up, but I didn't.
I wonder if it's maybe because you're able to hold on to the G's, like when you go around the corner, like you're strong. Yeah. Ripping around on bikes and you can handle that force maybe better than others.
Bit.
Maybe
my arms are definitely tired because you were gripping right in the G's, and like on the downhill you're floating to the outside, and I was just trying to hang it. And I'm like trying not to trip the tires or get sideways or squeal out and lose any momentum, but I was just inches away from the wall, and I'm like, oh my God, I made it. Hang tight, be patient, just like the kid said, and cut in, and then got some fast laps, and I beat that kid's lap times too. They're wondering, who's Brett Tippie? What? That's Brett Tippie. And I'm like, hi. It was pretty cool. I felt cool. And then I almost broke my arm. Pat myself on the back.
So they're like, who's Brett Tippie? And you're like, I'm a mountain biker.
Yeah. And it was really fun. So we left there, and we went.
So you're hanging out with that whole crew. They're like, who is this guy that just smoked everybody?
Yeah.
And they're like, the guy like flipping everybody's nose and making goofy jokes.
Dumb jokes, right? And my buddy JP Jenner was there. He's works in marketing for Pit Viper, and he's the one that brought me down. And he was racing, and he said he was on my back wheel for a bit, couldn't keep up. Sorry, buddy. And it was a totally good time. And so we went out partying that night, in a club, and we were hanging out with the Floyd Mayweather money team guys, and partying away. And then we hit a bunch of different clubs. And at one different club, actually, this very attractive young Latino girl came up to me and said, "I like your smile." And I go, "Oh, thanks." I go, "They're all fake teeth. I had them knocked out mountain biking, and they're all fake." She goes, "What? Who did the work?" And I'm like, "Dr. Joe Willardson from True Dentistry in Las Vegas." She's like, "No way." I go, "Yeah, he does like Miss Nevada. He does the Nitro Circus motocross guys." And she goes, "Oh, it does amazing work." And we started talking, and all of a sudden she goes, "I like you. Would you consider going on a first date with me?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I can't. I'm married actually." She goes, "Well, I figured as much, but I don't care." I'm like, I go, "Oh, I do." I go, "This is very flattering. You're very attractive, but I'm happily married. But thank you." She's like, "Okay, well, if you change your mind, come find me later." And she walks away, and I'm like, scratching my head, going, "Whoa, that made my ego feel cool,
Yeah, my other arm's broken now.
And so one of the money team guys leans over, this big, thick, huge, strong-looking Italian dude from New York, and he goes, "Dude, what are you doing? That's about as green as light as I've ever seen one." And I go,
"Green light."
And I go, "Dude, I'm married, man." And he goes, "Well, she must be a pretty special lady. Turn that down." And I go, "She is. She's super cool, and we, ride bikes together and go skiing, and she helped save me from drug addiction." And he goes, "What? I thought you were one of the Pit Viper athletes. Aren't you the mountain biker?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I had some hard times, and I drank hard, and I did a lot of drugs, and I lost my way for a while." And he goes, "Oh, tell me the story." He grabs his beer. And so I told him the story, and I told him how my wife Sarah, helped save me from drug abuse. And, I learned a few things, from rehab that I applied. And I learned a few things from a Tony Robbins motivational book. And he goes, "What, really? Which one?" And I go, Ultimate Power. And he goes, "You learned some things from Tony Robbins' book, Ultimate Power, how to, save yourself from drug addiction and get back to being a pro athlete." I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Wow, that's amazing. I have to tell Tony." He goes, "Tony's one of my friends." He goes, I have dinner with him all the time. I've done the fire walk with him 3 times. And he goes, actually, he would love to hear this. You know what? You got to come to New York. Yeah, stay at my place. I'm giving you my number right now. You come to New York, bring your family. I got beachfront property. And
dude.
So it turns out that this guy, Ricky Okmudi, he's the older brother to Floyd Mayweather's partner, who runs the money team and owns half this NASCAR. And Willie Okmudi is the partner with Floyd, and Ricky was there to check out the race, and we totally bonded. He was like super funny guy, super cool. We had a bunch of laughs, and at the end of the night, we went out to the pizza place. All a bunch of us, the Mayweather team and the Pit Viper guys, and we're in line. And there was like 4 slices of pizza left when we got there. And Ricky bought all 4 of them. And there's all these people in the lineup. Hey, that's the last 4 slices. You can't get the last 4 slices. And I got his back. And I'm like, back off. There'll be another pizza in 5 minutes. And he's looking over and he's like, right on. He's got my back. Says to his other buddy. And I'm like, all wired on Red Bull. Of course. And anyways, we ended up on it and have some good laughs together. So I might go to New York and meet Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker.
Take advantage of that. You should bring your producer with you.
Yeah, right. So I did learn some things from a Tony Robbins motivational book about, setting goals and writing them down and trying to be 1% better in everything that you did. And that's how I actually,
it's a big part of the process.
Yeah, from coming back from the dark side and for racing and applying it for racing and making yourself a better human, right?
Right.
And so that was really cool. So.
Was that the first day?
That was the first day.
Oh, it's all of that. Jeez, man. You were there for 3 days?
Yeah.
Oh, man. How long is this podcast? So what happened on day 2?
So day 2, a friend of mine that I knew from elementary school in Kamloops, George Slater Elementary, I was like 3 or 4 years older than him. I played football with his older brother, Jimmy White, and he was the captain of our football team, star player. And Jimmy and I actually won the BC High School football championships, and his little brother, little Jason, was our water boy, and he'd fix my helmets when I cracked helmets, and their whole family raced cars. Marty White, their dad, was he won a lot of races, and then Jimmy White, his brother, who I played football with, won a lot of races, and the younger brother has come on and he's rocking and rolling, and he's qualified and worked his way up to NASCAR, and so he was racing 2 races there. At the Daytona 500, there's 4 races. There's the truck race. He was racing a done-out Toyota Tundra. And then there's 2 ARCA car races. And then the Cup race, which is the big one on Sunday.
Big NASCAR. So what non-NASCAR people think of NASCAR, like myself.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
is that the one the Pit Viper car was in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he was in the truck race, and they run 40 at a time. Or there's 40 in the race. He was in 36th, and then 32nd, and then 29th. And then 25th, and then the 22nd, and they're just hammering around this track. And
you're on the track the whole time?
I was on the inside of the track. I was literally almost from me to the camera, from the vehicles coming in.
No
Lug
way.
nuts flying, speed gas, and then watching from like literally 12 feet away.
No way.
And then they drop them and they spin out and take out of there.
Is that the banked oval?
The banked oval was right before the pits come in. The pits come in, then it's flat, and they got.
But that's the races that are kind of up on the wall.
Yeah, they're up on an angle for the turns, and so he worked his way into 22nd, and then there was a massive crash in the lead group, and I think 5 or 6 vehicles were damaged, and then they cleaned them off the track, and they have these big trucks with like blowers that blow all the debris to the inside of the track, and they clean them up, and they got any oil spills, they got solutions out there. They clamped the track. And they restarted him, and if he didn't work his way up to 7th place with 1 lap left to go, doing 190 plus miles an hour, they're drafting each other, and they work in teams usually, and they'll draft each other and
right.
Work strategically like they do in the Tour de France with cyclists with
right.
wind draft and whatnot. But for the last few laps, it's every man for himself, especially in the last lap. So there's a lap left to go. He's in 7th place. He's just behind the top 3 vehicles, and they're all going for it and jostling around. He gets bumped, and he gets put into the wall at 192 miles an hour.
Oh.
And there's smoke everywhere and
how many
parts flying.
G-forces is that?
I don't know, but it's a lot. But they said when they measured it out and checked the scopes, he was doing 192 miles an hour when he hit the wall. He's fine. He was a little bit sore, and then he raced cars the next day in the ARCA class, And so, and after he crashed, he went from 7th, I think, back to 18th. And then in the cars, I think he got 20th. So a couple top 20s for my buddy Jason White.
And you did the episode with him.
I did an interview with him, a podcast.
Yeah, the podcast a couple weeks ago.
Right on the track.
Last week.
Or it'll be out next week, but by the time people hear this, it'll be 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it'll be next week, but it'll be out next week for us, but it'll have been out last week for you.
Right. Yeah. All those innocent in time travel meet here last week at 7:30.
7:30.
I've used it before, but hey, it's time travel. I was going to tell a time travel joke, but you didn't like it.
I know. I remember.
So he was fine. He did the ARCA car race the next day. He was fine enough to race that. We did an interview. All the cars were lined up. There's 125,000 people watching, with 100,000 people in the grandstands and another 25,000 in the infield. And it was filling up. They had all the cars lined up. They're getting ready to, line them up, and then, gentlemen, start your engines. And we're doing an interview. And sadly, I hit the ISO. I didn't have it on auto, so it blew up the footage. So I didn't have the footage, but we have the audio, which you can check out in a previous episode. And he gave us some really good intel, my buddy Jason White, on the strategies they use and drafting and how much gas to use and if someone makes a mistake and they got to put on the brakes, they got a flat spot in the tire, and those tires are going to blow, and you got to come in. So there's a bit of strategy and unpredictability that you have to be adapted to and improv if you need to.
It's cool. We'll have to get him on the show for like a full sit down hour long.
For sure.
I was listening to it with a big smile on my face, like, oh, this is really cool.
Oh yeah, he's the real deal, and he's been doing lots of different races, regional races, and then national races, and then North American races. Now he's worked his way up to NASCAR level, and he's done enough NASCAR races that I think it's a yellow sticker they have on the back of the car that shows you're a rookie. And people are kind of be careful of that guy. He might do something erratic.
Yeah.
But he has his yellow sticker gone now, so he's like one of the boys, right?
Yeah.
And people will then get in and draft each other and make a train to break the wind, and then different people will take turns at the front and until the end when they all go for the win. But just really opened up my mind to what's going on out there and shared the experience. And literally, we got onto the track. I had the VIP pass, which took me into the pits. And like I say, I was 12 feet from the cars coming in to get refueled.
That's crazy to me that you can just be that close.
Yeah, and there's tons of VIP people that are just one lane away from the pits.
Did you go down to any of the other pit?
I checked out every single car.
Every single
pit. Yeah, I went from end to end and just
any
watched.
other celebrities or people that you recognized or
Michael Jordan was there. He had 2 race cars in there.
Oh no way!
And
let's get him on the podcast.
Miss Jenner was there. Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh yeah,
was there, and there's a bunch of random celebrities.
You should get Michael Jordan on the BTP.
Yeah, right. Basketball requires 1 ball. Our sports require 2.
Tell him that.
And with that, I crack the Guru energy drink. Woo! Oh, let me try this out actually. Those are good, actually.
Yeah, not bad.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. Thank you, Guru, by the way. So that was really cool. And, just to have an inside line of some knowledge of what's going through the racers' heads. And
because did you have any info on did you know anything about NASCAR before?
No, I just Googled it before, and I watched some YouTube videos.
Yeah,
and I've seen Talladega Nights, and
if you're not first,
but
you're last.
Right. But what I found fascinating is my friend JP Genron lent me some earphones, and they have spotters up in the upper stands, and they're in link with the drivers. And when you're going 192 miles an hour, things happen so fast, you can't see what's happening ahead of you, and you don't want to hit anyone at 192 miles an hour. So if there's a spin out or some contact and parts go flying or whatever, there's a spotter going, usually go low, go high, like low on the track or high in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay, go high, and then they'll listen to their spotter and go high, or they're like, okay, there's a lead group up here, you want to get up and draft them. Slingshot, if you can get up into that draft, they'll pull you into the next group, and they try and work each other forward, and that spotter is their set of eyes. So they're picking the lines, and the driver's basically just driving. They're working together. And I thought that was really fascinating, because in rally, the guy next to you was like, okay, they're looking at a map, and he's like, okay, I forget I don't know what the code words are, but a tight right here, third gear, sweeping left, fourth gear, blah blah, but it's all in their R1, R2, yeah, L3, whatever.
That's the craziest ever. Just
Yeah,
rally
so
stuff.
I don't know how, actually. I have to ask Brandon Semenek how the shorthand verbal dialogue goes between the co-pilot, co-driver, co-pilot, passenger, navigator, work together. But in here, there's no passenger. There's just a spotter, like I say, in the stands. So it was really cool how they work together. And so he gave us a lowdown on that. And if they flutter the throttle, they need more fuel. If they're off and on, if they're constant on the throttle, but they're into a draft, they're not using much fuel, so they can do more laps and maybe get a fill in or a fill up when it's more strategic to them, more advantageous to them.
Yeah.
You know, if you come in and you get stuck between a bunch of people, it's all like shaving seconds off, right? And so, you know, we partied and cruised around, and I was given the task of giving away a bunch of Pit Vipers and making some fun activations, which I do all the time, different events.
You're the right guy for that.
So I was cruising around going, all right, go up to a group of dudes. I go, hey, a free pair of Pit Vipers for the loudest person here. Ah! And people are going off, and we're filming it. And okay, a free Pit Vipers to a new group for the best race car impersonation. You first. What? Wow. And then the next guy, and okay, you win, yay. And then at one point, we went to this, there's tons of little makeshift bars in the pits, like, or in the infield.
Oh, I can imagine.
All these RVs and people just making little bars and just people partying, like thousands of them. And we went to this one bar, it had hundreds of people in it, and it was the last pair of Pit Vipers to give away. And so we pull up in the limo, and we get out, and everyone's screaming.
You're driving like through. Is it still in the pit zone?
Yeah, we're driving the limo around
in the pit zone.
Well, there's alleys and roads, right?
Oh, crazy!
You know, so
you got this monstrous, obnoxious looking limo.
Oh yeah, and people are surfing the roof, and I was on the roof surfing, and in and out of the limo, and it's just doing the slow crawl all around, and we're down to our last pair of Pit Vipers, and we pulled up, and they said, okay, what are you going to do, Tippie? And I go, this goes to the first person that can beat me in a thumb wrestle. They're like, oh yeah? And I'm like, oh yeah. And there you go, are you good? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm really good. I'm like, okay. So we pull up the bar, and I get out, and I'm like, hey everybody, and everyone's like, hey, Pit Viper. And I'm like, okay, I've got the last free pair of Pit Vipers to the first person that can beat me in a thumb wrestle. I've done it at the BC bike race. I've done it at the Canada downhill circuit for mountain biking.
Okay, ready?
Okay, here we go.
All right, you ready?
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war.
Oh yeah, toast.
Done. So, I defeated 38 people in a row.
In a row?
Yeah, and like, you know, I'm just 1, 2, 3. You're done. 1, 2, 3. You're done. 1, 2, 3. You know,
and there's got to be like tons of people walking around being like, "Wah!" Like,
oh yeah, and then it just got the hype got bigger, and then people were trying their third or fourth time, you know, and then all of a sudden they brought this ringer in. They go, "You gotta get Samson, get Samson." So Samson comes back. The guy's 6'9", and he comes out. I'm looking at him. I'm like, "Look at the size of this guy." It's hilarious. It's on the Pit Viper website or Instagram page. I put it on my Instagram page as well. And so I look up at the guy. We lock up. Boom! I pin him in like 4 seconds. And then I went on another 20 people. Finally, my forearms are so pumped.
Both hands?
Arm pumped. I was doing lefts and rights, mostly rights.
2 at the same time?
I did 2 at the same time. I couldn't even barely hang on anymore. So I thumb wrestled this one girl, and she was really good. And she almost beat me, actually. And she didn't. And then the next guy got me. Like, we went for probably like 2 minutes. Just all over the place, knocking people, around, and we're like around the circle. It was such a thumb wrestling battle, and he finally pinned me. And I'm like, our new champion, Fernando. His name was Fernando.
The crowd must have gone crazy.
The crowd went crazy, and I gave him the pair of Pit Vipers. He throws them on, and it was a pretty good time actually. And then we knew everyone at the party by then, and we partied for a bit, and yeah, it was a pretty good time. And then it was time for the cup race, the final race.
This is all before the race.
Oh yeah, so that was.
So now we're into day 3. That was day 2.
Yeah, that was day 2. So day 3.
Yeah.
That night we actually met the driver, Cal Gralla, and he and I met the half owner of the team, Willie Akmoudi, Ricky's little brother, who's partners with Floyd Mayweather, and we got to check out the car in the morning. We saw it being worked on in the automotive garage and stuff, and they're all just doing the fine tweaks to it, whatnot. I think they're like, what were they, 510 horsepower, 550. They tune the power down so that everyone's got the same power, because it's just ridiculous, right? And so they're running 500 plus horsepower, and on the day of the race, Mr. Growler, our racer, is out there. They lose a wheel. The wheel goes flying off, and he nurses it around the track on 3 wheels, losing time, to get back. And then you get a lap penalty for losing a wheel. And so they get a new wheel on it, and a bunch of people lost wheels, and people are losing body parts. It's mayhem.
Body parts.
Or car body parts.
Oh. I was like, what? Is an arm flies past your head?
What do you call it in Italian with one arm?
Speech impediment.
Oh my god. Anyway, so he nurses his way from what was he? I don't know. He must have been in last place, actually, in 40th after losing a wheel. But then other people lost wheels, and other people lost, body panels and whatnot. And there was a few crashes, and he worked his way up from 36th into 33rd into 32nd, and he ended up finishing the race in 26th position. And, out of 40. And so, yeah, he beat 14 cars. And
even with a wheel falling off.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of stuff that's going on. There are some gnarly crashes. The one car just got bumped a bit, and it got squirrely, and then flipped upside down and was flying through the air upside down, and then landed on the roof and went on the roof for a bit, and then got flipped over and then spun around and shot to the infield, and other cars were hitting him, and they hit each other. And
did you go up in the grandstands at all and watch this?
I never did,
you're
no.
all on the bottom?
I was all on the inside of the track. Yeah, like literally, like I went up, and there's like a little mini grandstands on the inside, so I got a raised, look at the race, so you can see the whole track. Yeah. But I was basically right in the pits. And then I checked out all the other pits of all the different cars and walked up and down all 40 different pits and cars and elected their different teams. And
surprised by that point, they're not like, Tippie, get in.
Right.
We saw you on that go-kart track.
Pitch hitter.
I wonder how you would do as a race car driver. Do you know what I mean? Maybe you should talk to Jason in the summertime and see if he'll take you out like on the track and Kamloops for like
it'd be super fun,
like a lower tier car just to go for a rip.
I would love it. I mostly drive trucks. I've always had Toyota trucks all my life, and I go to the ski hill fast. And when I was young, I used to drive different places, and I got a stopwatch for my birthday. I used to time myself from different places in town or out on the logging roads. I would time myself, and I would wear a helmet in my truck by myself and just rally. I did that for years, to be honest. Yeah, but no, those guys have so much experience, and the quick twitch muscle fibers of what to do, when to do it. You can't
be
competitive against guys like that are just honed, right?
Yeah.
But hey, I would never say no to an experience like that. If they let me drive a car around the Daytona 500, I would not say no. I would say yes.
Man, so we're putting it out into the universe right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, verbally actualizing this. Yes, I'm ready to drive.
You showed up at this event and basically became the king of Daytona wherever you went.
It was super fun.
And maybe you'll get a chance to like do a lap around a track. Maybe.
You never know. Even to be a passenger in the car with someone, like, because those cars are
Do they have passenger seats in those things?
No. But they have, like, pace cars there. So maybe I could, take a rip around in a pace car. I don't think they're going to let Brett Tippie on the Daytona 500 racetrack.
You never know, man.
Whether they know me or don't know me. Those vehicles
on a mountain bike, I can see like pedaling.
Right,
he's still going.
It's an e-bike. I'll be back around in about
25 minutes.
20 minutes. But those cars are $400,000, and the vehicle, the trucks are probably, I don't even know, $300,000. So there's a lot of money there, and there's spare tires, and just like the money that goes in to being at that race is insane. And Jason was saying that, they'll set up sponsorships at the last minute, depending on if you qualified or not.
Oh yeah.
Like people are picking up last minute sponsorships. Oh, you're in the big show. You're in the top 40.
Here's $50,000.
Yeah, like boom, here you go. Sticker it up, and you've got. I met some cool people like Horvath Design, who does graphics for vehicles, and they'll graphic up some new graphics
Like
for a
right
vehicle,
away.
like on the
I
spot.
was wondering about that because I watch F1 a ton, and like they'll crash a car and they'll have a new livery and then they'll add something to it or they'll do something else to it and it'll be like overnight. So the guys that do the wrapping,
Yeah, they got to be there.
they must be like so fast.
Yeah, on the spot. Squeegee's flying.
Yeah. You think trying to get a ride wrap on your bike might be difficult, like. Maybe those guys can move on it. Maybe ride rappers can move into like NASCAR and be like, oh, I've done this on
down the
bikes.
road. Yeah, exactly. Cars are easy.
Right? It's amazing how fast they do it. I always assumed they just had like a printer in one of those big, one of the big tractor trailers, like one of those wrap printers, vinyl printers. I would assume.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I don't know how actually they do it, but they were ready to go on the spot because of those last minute sponsorship deals, I guess.
Take your shirt off. So.
Yeah, right. Got the Sharpie out.
Yeah, here you go.
But it was really cool, and there was 125,000 people watching. They had the Jets go over. They had them sing, the national anthem, and it was just like this, like being at the Super Bowl for car racing.
Full on America,
and just car fanatics and so many eccentric, crazy, speed happy horsepower heads that were just right into it and so passionate, very knowledgeable, and very friendly. I found everyone really friendly, and Florida itself is full on and just cool and eccentric. Like they're kind of crazy down there, but a good crazy. It was cool. But just being in the pits.
Did you become one of the Florida Man? You know Florida Man?
No.
If you just type in Google Florida Man, and it's all these crazy news stories like Florida Man locks himself in a in a freezer, or like Florida Man tries to like climb down from third story balcony to steal an ice cream cone, or some weird, just wacky weird shit that dudes end up in prison for or jail for.
Oh yeah.
If you just Google Florida Man.
Florida Man.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, it was definitely a Florida experience.
Did you go to the award ceremony?
Well, it was right there. I was actually in the pits, and I was hanging out with the Pit Viper guys in the Pit Viper pits.
Were you getting ready to like just the tip? Like you're getting in that mood, like the award ceremony. I gotta go over and interview somebody.
Yeah, exactly. I was trigger microphone handy. Yeah. Hey, who's that guy doing an interview with the winner? I did an interview with Mr. Grala, our racer, and I walked onto the racetrack. So I have stood on the racetrack at the Daytona 500.
That's cool.
After it all ended, and they did the champagne and the flowers and the winner, and they did the interview and everything. But
so it was like the final night, the final party. Was that like the big one?
Well, I'm sure they partied late into the night because everyone was primed and going. When we eventually took off.
Did you have any voice left?
My voice was very hoarse, and I can go 10 days at Crankworks and not really lose it till like day 8.5. But the cars are so loud, and there's jets and helicopters and blimps and 125,000 people. I was actually getting just a little bit hoarse on the third day, but I got training. I can do Crankworks. I can make it stretch 8.5 if I have to. You just have to slip the clutch a little bit on your vocal cords. So we eventually left that night, partied down for a bit, and we had a great dinner right on the beach. Our hotel was right on the beach, just gorgeous. The moon was there, and the waves were lapping, and we had some seafood. And then our driver came and joined us, and we hung out with all the Pit Viper guys. And I was on stage cracking jokes, just with everybody, just having fun. It was just a cool experience and something I've never really, been privy to. Like I've announced World Cup ski races and the BMX World Cup finals, and done interviews at Rebel Rampage and run around the microphone at Crankworks. And
motorsports is the next level. Hey?
Yeah, and I've actually done a Red Bull rally car race, but this was next level. It was big time, and just so many people, and just the volume of the cars going on.
Did you have to have like an ear protection?
A lot of people had earplugs, and I was going to bring some, but I didn't, and I wish I would have, but I didn't.
What?
Yeah. What? But it was really cool. So it was like super hot, like Florida, right? Like t-shirt weather, or I had a Pit Viper,
humid.
Like a shirt that's all logoed up, like NASCAR style. But I left there early the next morning, made my plane, and I landed back in Vancouver. And it was raining, just slightly, and went home. And by the time I got home, went home and got 4 hours sleep. Got up, and then I drove to the interior of BC from Vancouver, past Vernon, out to Kiefer Lake, and it was minus 22, and we just got 40 centimeters of pow before I got there.
24 hours separate from waist deep in blower champagne pow.
Yeah, like
to like on the beach getting. What a difference, eh?
Yeah, it was just like cold, but it had snowed and then it got clear, so it was sparkly, cold pow. And right from t-shirt weather to fully bundled up minus 22 and shredded at Kiefer Lake with deep pow for 3 days. And in this massive lodge that they have, that's, I don't even know how many millions this lodge would cost, but it's all like huge post and beam wood and glass. And I'd go catboarding all day, and then I brought my snowmobile, and there was 40 centimeters on the lake in front of the lodge, so I'd go after catboarding, 8, 9, 10 runs, and then I would go carve turns on the lake with my snowmobile, getting face shots and just carving turns until it got dark, or even after it got dark. And it was an insane 3 days. So that happened from Florida to Kiefer Lake, and so then I drove back at the end of the third day, back to Vancouver. I got in at like 4 a.m. and left at 8 the next morning, and then drove back across the coastal range, the BC Interior Shuswap Highlands, the Monashee Mountains, the Selkirks, the Purcells, into the Rockies, and I went to Kicking Horse Mountain Resort in Golden, and my little girl had qualified for the BC High School Ski Championships. She had gone to a zone race on Blackcomb, and she's in grade 8, so she was the youngest person there, but she had a chance in qualifying to go either in the novice class, all grade 8s, or go in the open class, which is grade 8 to 12. And she went in the open class, and she got 15th out of the top 50 girls in the Lower Mainland and Squamish, Pemberton, Whistler. Went to the provincials in Golden. I took her there on 4 hours sleep, and she got 45th out of the top 80 girls in the province.
For grade 8, that's not bad.
For a grade 8er, racing grade 12s or 10s, 11, 12s,
Right.
And
she's going to be taking the title home in like 2 years.
Yeah, in a couple of years, a little more experience. But I got to shred Kicking Horse for my first time in the winter. I've mountain biked there before in the summer.
Cool. And I actually had left there. I was there like the week before you. Yeah, it's a cool hill, hey?
It's like a little mini Alaska there. Like so many chutes and,
It's got a boot pack a little bit for it. And
yeah, it was kind of cloudy, so I only saw a little bit of the goods, but I saw enough to go, wow. And I've seen it in the summer too, so I know what it would be like with snow. But that was a really cool experience. And
what a week!
Then I finally drove home on the number 1 highway, Trans Canada, and got back home and just went, wow, yeah. And then rested for a bit, and then I was like, okay, well, I got to get back to work. It's time to
there you go
go do some podcast work with Mark Warner.
Yeah, but that's a wild story.
That's my trip. That was a crazy trip. It was a crazy, few weeks of
you just attract it. It just finds you.
Oh, well,
good times. You are really, truly are the director of good times.
My wife gave me that business card, and I stick to it. Yeah, director of good times.
Gee, okay.
Why not?
So last time we did one of these, I didn't come up with a joke. We didn't end the show properly.
Oh wow!
Right? Do you have a NASCAR joke?
A NASCAR joke. You're a fast race car driver when you've got splattered bugs on the side of your car. Why do artists like gasoline?
I don't know.
Because it makes their van go.
I think you told that one to Jason last week.
Did I?
I got some right here.
Oh,
I got
okay.
a few right here.
Okay.
All right, how about let's see. Why did the mathematician quit his job to join NASCAR?
To speed up I don't know why.
They told him he was good at deriving. All right, that's a math joke. How many NASCAR fans does it take to change a tire?
If they're German, only one, because they're very efficient.
None, because they took the wheels off their homes years ago.
That's pretty good.
I always wonder why they call them mobile homes. Because have you ever seen one move?
Yes.
All right, let's see. There's another one. Let's see if we can find one more.
From the music.
Oh, jeez. Wait. What do you call someone who thinks NASCAR is superior to every other racing sport?
A Daytona local.
A racist.
Nice. Very nice. What's the difference between a car and an automobile?
I don't know.
About $100,000.
I don't get it.
Well, it's just a car. You know, if it's like 10 grand, but if it's
an
like
automobile.
110,000, then it's an automobile.
All right. Considering that's why I don't know what an automobile is.
Yeah, right.
All right, dude.
Well, there we go.
Good times. Thanks for telling me that story.
Yeah, good times.
Go on another trip soon because I always need some entertainment.
Yeah, well, there's more happening all the time. So, yeah, there we go. NASCAR, Daytona 500, Kiefer Lake, Kicking Horse, all packed into one little trip. Thanks for checking it out, listening to the Tippie Travel Tale. Mark, thanks for co-hosting with me. And we'll see you on the Brit Tippie podcast. See you later, everybody. Ow!